If you are a wedding or a portrait photographer and you haven't heard of Evoto, you are going to be honestly wowed by what I show you in this video. Evoto is photo retouching software and it offers an incredible amount of features, from basic exposure and contrast changes to color grading and background changes, but its absolute game-changing star of the show features are all based around portrait retouching, and these features are so quick and easy to use and so effective that they really are game-changing. Portrait retouching software isn't a new thing, but trust me, Evoto does it better and so much quicker than any other software I have ever used, as I will show you in this video. Changes like this, for example, can be done in 2 seconds. Evoto is so effective that it is now an integral part of my workflow. At this point, it's important to say that this video is sponsored by Evoto, but I have been a paying customer of Evoto for almost a year now, so this is a very easy review video for me to make because I was using and am paying for Evoto myself, and I was doing that long before they contacted me asking if I would be interested in making this video. Now, if you don't know about Evoto already, it is a standalone program which you can just download, and it's free to do so, and then you can play around with the software and see a preview of what it can do without paying anything. With Evoto, you only pay when you export an image. Also, before we get into the features and I show you exactly what Evoto can do, if you use the link in the description to join Evoto, you will get 5 free credits, which in Evoto's language means 5 free exports. And if you use the code Neil15, you will save 15% off an annual subscription plan or 20% off 200 pay-as-you-go credits. So thank you very much, Evoto, for that. So let's open up Evoto now and I will show you how it works and all these amazing features. Now, when you first open Evoto, you'll be asked to make a project, which is basically a folder of images. And that's what I've got here. These are all images which I have chosen for the purposes of this video. And as you will see, almost all of them are straight out of camera raw files. I wanted to show you the raw files so you know that they are not already edited in any way. These are straight out of camera. The only images down here which are not raw files are these two here, which have been sent to me by Evoto for demonstration purposes, but I wanted to show you in this video my images instead. So I will show you those in a second, but I want to just start with this one. So this is the basic home screen. There's lots of things going on here, but it's very, very simple. We've got various tabs down the side here: color adjustment, portrait retouching, background adjustments, clothing and accessory adjustments, and then very cool, tethered shooting options, which I haven't actually used, but I think if you're working in a studio especially, they will be really, really cool to use. So let's just start first of all with this tab. Now, if you use something like Lightroom, you'll be very familiar with a lot of these sliders. I'm not going to really go into any of those because that's not what Evoto are about. All the good stuff for me is happening in the portrait retouching tab here. And honestly, what I'm going to show you here, I'm really excited about. So we've got lots of different headings. There's so much that Evoto offers. It's going to be very hard to cover them all in one video, but I'm going to show you the things that I personally use the most. And we're going to start off with this image because if we zoom in on the bride here, what I would like to do is remove this glare from her glasses. And previously that would have been a nightmare to do. You know, we might have been able to do it in Photoshop, but it would took quite a while and might have looked a bit fake as well. Now though, if we go down to eyes, we open up the eyes tab, we've got a slider here called remove glasses glare, and watch what this does. Gone within a fraction of a second. To me, that is just incredible. And it's not just that example here. This was an amazing wedding. Holly and Brian, by the way. Holly, the bride, was incredible. You can see as she's walking down the aisle what sort of person she was. She was so much fun to work with. And if we go in on this photograph, one of my favorites, again, you'll see that there is a little bit of glare. So we just go back here and it's gone that quick. What we can also do, because I've got a couple of other images here with the glare again in her glasses, rather than going through each time, what I can actually do, because I've already made a change to this image, I've removed the glasses glare, I can select the other two and then click on sync. And then we don't need all these things ticked, but I might as well just leave them. Instantly then, you can see a little tab going around. This has already been applied. So again, there's the before and the after. So I just wanted to show you the glasses glare because I just think it's incredible. And when I first saw that, I was like, no way, that is amazing. What I'm now going to do is show you some of the skin smoothing options, because for me, skin smoothing is the real star of the show when it comes to Evoto. So we'll start with this image of Olga, but I think it's important to actually just jump in and say, just because sometimes we can make certain changes, in my opinion, doesn't mean that we should. Retouching is a very contentious issue, and wherever you draw the line is going to be personal to you. For me, I only change things that are not permanent, like you'll see in this video, hair, maybe like spots and things like that, but I don't like to change body shape. I don't change anything like that. Now, you can do that in Evoto. Whether you should, whether you think it's right, is a very personal thing. I say for me, I don't change body shapes. I just like to skin smooth where I think it's appropriate and remove like stray hairs and things like that. But I will be showing you in this video how you can change body shapes. Again, that's not because I think you should. In fact, I think you probably shouldn't. But I say, I want to show you what we can do. So if I zoom into Olga, I mean, Olga's got excellent skin here, but you know, there's a slight little blemish and whatever here and there, nothing more than anybody else. In a second, I'm going to edit this photo where that guy has got a lot of problems. So let me just start with Olga again. And let's go up here. We're going to close the eyes tab and we're going to open up blemish removal. And without doing anything else other than just moving up this slider, the freckles and acne, you can see that that skin has got instantly almost like perfect. That's the before and that's the after. We've also got a little tattoo here on Olga. Again, would I remove tattoos? No, personally I wouldn't, because I think that is what makes up a person. It's part of their personality. But if we want to, we've got a tattoo tab down here. We simply click on there and instantly Olga's tattoo has gone. Moving on to this image now of Rebecca. Again, Rebecca's got excellent skin. She's got human skin, but if we look closer, maybe a little few bits here and there. So if we move up the freckles and acne slider, instantly those little tiny imperfections, that's all they are, have gone. But what I also want to show you at this point is a couple of the other options that we've got here. First of all, if we go down to eyes down here, this was a natural light shot, so there's not great catch lights in Rebecca's eyes there. So we can increase the brightness of her eyes just by doing this. Again, let's look at the before and after. Very, very effective. Whilst we're here, let's just also just go to makeup, show you what we can do with the lips as well. We can add more lipstick. Often less is more when you're playing with these sliders, but I'm going to just push them for now just so you can see what happens when we go up really high. But I would always advise you don't do that. You go somewhere around the bottom so that everything looks a bit more realistic. But we've instantly gone from there to there in literally seconds. The other thing we can do here as well, and this is something that I often spent a lot of time doing, is removing these stray hairs. So let's go down to the hair tab here, and we've got this option, stray hairs removal. Let's just push that up again to the 100%. Instantly, those stray hairs have gone. Now, sometimes it can look a bit fake if we do go to 100, so we can just put that a little bit lower. But even that is very, very effective. We've got some other options here as well. Smooth hair, quite like that one. Hair shine enhancement. Just adds that little bit of shine up here. So again, if we go before and after, within just a few seconds, we've done something very, very effective. Another thing which I like, just to show you all these options, if we go up to skin retouching, we've got so many different options here. Again, I can't cover everything in the video, but I'm just giving you like the highlights, my favorite things. What I really like is going down here to skin tone and then AI Unify Body Complexion, which just basically makes all that skin tone similar. And I think that's really effective. So something like that, again, before and after. Another really cool feature of Evoto is being able to create presets. So if we wanted to, we could save all those slider positions in the form of a preset. We go down here to save preset. Let me call this one, for example, Rebecca. It would only change portrait retouching element, so let's just save that. And now if I had multiple photographs of Rebecca, rather than going through everything again, I could just apply that preset. So let me reset everything from this image. I can now click on this tab up here, which opens up the presets. There's lots of presets already in Evoto. Let's just click on one of these. For example, I don't use these myself, but instantly that's nice. So that's what I mean. You can literally make these changes in a second, as you've just seen. Let's reset everything. Let's go to my presets. And in there is the one that we've just made called Rebecca. And there's the changes that I made. So once you've made these changes once, save them as a preset and it will take fractions of a second when you apply them the next time. Let's now have a play around with this image, and I apologize for having to show this person on the screen for very long. This is not great to look at, so I want everything. Let's just throw everything at this one. Okay, freckles and acne, let's go up to 100. Let's play around with eye bags. Okay, lip wrinkles and flakes, just show you what these do. This is what I really need here, the facial wrinkles. Okay, let's push up forehead wrinkles, that's better. Eye wrinkles. Again, you wouldn't do this all as high as all this because it will end up looking a bit too fake, but I just want to show you what is possible. So instantly, let's just put the neck wrinkles up as well. I think I look a little bit better there, considerably better. Look at that. But again, it's just to show you how quick this is to use and how effective it is. Let's move on to this image now, which was taken at a real wedding. Now, with this one, I love this, and it doesn't need very much doing to it. This, by the way, sorry, is a JPEG file. So this has already been edited by me, but in the pre-Evoto days, because if I was going to edit this and deliver this image now, I would make a further change, which would be to remove the stray hairs around the bride here. So let's do that by going to hair and going to stray hair removal. That's 100. Is that too much? Yeah, probably just go back to about 80, something like that. But already that has made a significant change. But I also think when I'm looking back at this image again, that the bride here has got a little bit of a rosy chest. So I'm going to go here to AI Uniform Body Complexion again, which is just going to change and unify basically the skin tone across her whole body. And as you see, I think that is a nice change. That's the before. That's the after. See, if when we go in very close, this is where you see how the stray hair removal is very powerful, especially when you look at this area here. Okay, going to edit this image now, one of my favorites from last year. Again, this is a raw file, so bear in mind that I've not done any editing to this. So before we actually go into the skin smoothing and things, I'm going to just increase the exposure slightly about there. Now, I wouldn't do this in Evoto. My process would be, I will put everything through Aftershoot first. I'll then make some tweaks in Lightroom, export those images, and open this image up as a JPEG in Evoto. But I want to show you here the raw, so you know that these are not edited in any way as yet. So I've just pushed up the exposure slightly. And now let's go into the image a little bit more. Let's go over to here. First of all, just close everything again. And I want to show you something else we can do with the eyes. So let's drop down the eyes, turn up the brightness slightly. But because the bride here has been crying, we've got a little bit of redness in her eyes. But we can also remove that now with red vein removal. Now that again is 100%, which could look a bit fake. So I might just drop that down to about there, but I think that is quite a significant change. I wouldn't do very much else here, but what I will do is go to skin retouching and just now show you what happens if we use AI Unify face complexion. So not body, just the face one. And I think that is a very subtle change, but a nice change. We've gone from there to there. And again, as I showed you before, if we wanted to do the same to this image, which was taken a fraction of a second later, we don't have to go through everything again. We can just click on this one, select the second image and click on sync. There we go. Let's click on the second image and instantly those changes have been applied to this image as well. Okay, I'm now going to show you a couple of other things which Evoto can do. Firstly, sky changes. Now, I personally don't use sky replacements. That's not saying you shouldn't. It's a personal choice. For me, though, I just don't like to do that. But let me show you what Evoto is capable of. So let's go to background adjustments, and down here we have sky replacement. Let's click on the recommended ones, and let's just choose one of these. it's just really, really effective. Like that one, especially for this image, before and after. Look as well how the reflection of the sky in the water is also changing to make it look more realistic. Let's go in close. Can you see the join? If you're being honest, probably not. I certainly couldn't. It's very, very effective. Let's have another play with this one as well. Sky replacement. Let's go to recommended again. And then I just click around and just show you the various options. Look how quick it is to do this. I love this image, but it is let down a little bit by the sky because there's nothing going on there. Again, I wouldn't do this, but if we wanted to, could we change that sky and make it look more effective? I think that does improve the image. And again, notice how the sky has changed behind the trees as well. But when I go in really close, I personally would not be able to tell. It's pretty crazy. Okay, I'm going to show you another feature now which I really like, which is down here. If we click on clothing and accessories adjustments, these bridesmaids here have little creases in their dresses. That's normal. At the end of the day, they are outside and the wind's blowing and things. However, can we get rid of those creases? With Evoto, we can. So we've got this option here, de-wrinkle clothing. Let's just put all that to 100 and instantly they have gone away. Again, you might want to turn that down slightly to make it look a bit more realistic, but even that is very, very effective. And notice as well how it applies to every single person in that photograph as well, which is really cool. Another group shot over here. We can, if we want to, make these changes only apply to certain people. For example, at the moment, the change is going to apply to everyone, but if we just click on male, and then we apply the changes, you can see there, that's after, before. It's not made any changes to the women in this shot, just to the men, as we can see there. Just want to show you another thing now, which is reduce face shine. So in this example, with the couple being in church, the bride's forehead is a little bit shiny just because the light's in the church. If we go to blemish removal, we've got this option, remove face shine. If we go to 100, again, that might be too much, but we can simply turn that down if we want to. And even that, I think, is very, very effective. Again, let's go in close to the bride's face. Every image that I've shown so far has been an image that I have taken. However, Evoto have very kindly sent me 2 images to play around with to show you. So with this example of this gentleman here, he's got a few blemishes in his skin. So let's just see again how effective it is with one slide of that, and they've all gone, which is amazing. Now, I'm going to use this to show you another thing which Evoto offers, which I probably won't ever use, but if you're a studio photographer, is very effective. And that is, if we go down to background adjustments, we can change the backdrop. The background is consistent. Let's use this fabric here. Look at that. You can't tell that that has been added in post. I can't anyway. I think it's amazing. This is another example of a photograph sent over by Evoto, so I didn't take this one. Lady here has braces on her teeth, and Evoto have sent this so that I can demonstrate this tab here, the teeth tab. At the bottom, we've got something called pretty teeth. Now, this is really impressive. If I click on that one button, instantly the braces have gone. I just think that's incredible. It's amazing what you can do this. Now I just want to show you something with this image of Darcy and Matt. I love this photograph. I love the light. They were lit here with a huge softbox, a 42-inch mag box just directly above them, and I love the light that it produces. But there's another feature which I want to show you here, because if we go to our blemish removal and we put this up to 100, one thing it does is it removes Darcy's freckles, which are a big part of who she is. They are Darcy, and I think they're really nice. So I don't want her freckles to go. So what we can do, we can bring back the freckle slider, and it does do a very good job of bringing back her freckles around her nose. But I know if we go to the before tab here, she does have a few more freckles here on her cheek. So what we can also do is go to this option, manual tuning, can change the opacity of this, but any area that we draw now, will go back to how it was before. So it's just going to remove that from the mask, and we click OK there, and we've got more freckles there. So just because Evoto removes something doesn't mean that you can't bring it back. And it's the same with Matt here. If we wanted to say bring back this little area on his neck, we can just add that, or we can just remove that as well from the mask. I wouldn't do anything at all more to this image, but what I will do, just for the purpose of demonstrating, is go down to, again, one of my favorite options, which is down here in AI body complexion. I just think it just does a really nice job of just lifting up the light slightly. Oh, actually, let's go to de-wrinkled clothing. Yeah, and that just improves the collar. Simple, but effective. Now, I mentioned at the start of this video that Evoto does so many things, and it does. The things that I don't really use very much, if at all, but I want to show you them just for the sake of covering everything. So as you've seen, we've got lots of options in blemish removal. I mean, almost more than you could ever imagine. In skin retouching, again, there is so many different options. I've not had time to go through all of them, but there is so much that we can do. Facial reshape, we can even change the shape of the mouth, eyebrows, eyes. It's almost infinite what we can do. Can even change facial expressions. You've seen teeth, you've seen eyes. Makeup can be an effective one. We've got lots of options in here. In fact, before we go to this, let's just apply our blemish removal. Now let's just go back down to makeup. You saw lip makeup before, but there's lots of options. If like contour is quite an effective one, I always think, and then we can click on any of these and just play around with whatever one you think is right. Again, I don't do this myself, but it's just to show you how quick you can change things almost instantly. You've seen what we can do with hair. Hand we can even change as well. And there is full body reshape. Again, for me personally, I don't like to do this, but let me just show you what we can do. By going to AI reshape, we can change body shapes almost, well, instantly. It is almost limitless. Again, whether you should do that is a different question, but I want to show you what we can now do if we want to. One of the biggest features of Evoto, and you will love this if you are a studio photographer, is the ability to shoot tethered. So by clicking on this option over here, we can connect our camera. And what that would mean is if you take a photograph, it will show up immediately on Evoto. But not only that, you can set Evoto up so that when your image appears on the screen, it has presets applied to it. So all this skin smoothing and retouching is applied instantly. So if you've got a client in the studio and they're seeing their photographs come up each time, you're just gonna look like a hero to them. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, to use Evoto, you simply download the Evoto software for free, and then you purchase credits. And each separate image that you export will cost you 1 credit. You can, however, export the same file multiple times, but you will be charged a credit for each separate image that you export. Personally, I think this is a great system because there are no big upfront costs to pay, and it's then up to you how many images you put through Evoto. For me personally, I only use Evoto if skin or faces cover a lot of the frame, or if I am asked by a couple to make particular changes, which is very rare. With a wedding, for example, if I deliver, say, 800 photographs to my couple, I'll probably have used Evoto on around 50 to 100 of those images at the most, which does make it extremely good value. And as I said earlier, Evoto is now an integral part of my workflow. And please remember, if you use a link in the description, you will get 5 free credits, and if you use the code Neil15, you will save 15% off an annual subscription plan or 20% off 200 pay-as-you-go credits. Just want to say a big thank you to Evoto for sponsoring this video, and as always, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you next time.